Hi there, welcome to Floating in Books. Today we're going to be chatting about my 10 favorite vintage pieces in my wardrobe. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I have a slightly different video for you. I'm coming to you from my couch, and I'm going to try and find either pictures or little clips of outfits that I've shown you these pieces in, because I'm pretty sure that I have already shown them to you, like in outfits and stuff. Maybe not all of them, but I know I filmed with most of these, and these are favorites for a reason. However, I do have a type when it comes to vintage items, so I did want to sort of like make sure there was an array of things here. There are definitely not vintage items, I think, I think I have vintage in every single category of my wardrobe is what I'm trying to say, but I definitely gravitate towards certain pieces. Most of the pieces that I have that are vintage are from a vintage kilo sale that's no longer going on, so I don't shop vintage as often anymore as I used to. I got some things through Vinted, but I feel that Vinted is a very big trap when it comes to vintage, because they do tend to resell things that are from like Temu and like Shein, and then they call it vintage, so you never know. So I like going to kilo sales from time to time, but I also feel that with the popularity of vintage clothing, it's gotten a lot more expensive than what I'm used to paying for it. I mean, I've been going to these vintage kilo sales like since before COVID, and then it was just a lot cheaper than it was, and you could get a lot of clothing in like one go for like next to nothing. I mean, the vintage kilo sale I went to was 15 euros for a kilogram of clothing. It became 20 by the time they quit, and now they are no longer around. So that was on like almost every month, I feel. So yeah, they did that, and it was a lot of fun. So that's where most of these things are from. Yeah, I just like digging through all the rails and doing all that. But I do find that if I go into like a regular vintage store, I find that you pay about as much for a vintage item as you do for something that you can find like fast fashion wise, and then it really depends on the item whether I'm willing to pay for that. Like, it really needs to be something special that I cannot find anywhere else. But yeah, I have some good ones, and I actually wore some of these the other day. So first item is this blouse. It's a bit of a weird one. It's a creamy colored jacquard blouse that is very billowy and oversized, and I'm pretty sure I filmed or taken a picture of this before, and I've shown you this for sure in a haul. But here we have what the print looks like. I hope my camera picks up on it, but it has this really nice sort of shine to it. It's got a sash that you can play with. You can like wrap it and wear it as a scarf. It's quite big. I like tying it in a pussy bow. It just has a really weird bottom. It's like a costume almost. Like, I don't know where this came from. It is a wonderful thing though, and the only problem it had when I picked it up was that there were a couple of brown stains on the sleeve, but then I gave it a wash and it was gone. So this is a beautiful blouse, and I actually like wearing it with another item I will be showing you, because I like wearing this almost like 70s rocker style with like an oversized pair of like darker jeans, and then with a gilet on top to really have that billowiness toned down just a little bit. Because of the weird bottom, I do feel I need to tuck this in, then the shirt looks better. But it has these like poofy sleeves. It's really, really big and billowy. It has these like balloony sleeves. It's really, really fun, and like I said, very much that rocker chic sort of look that I sometimes like to go for. It's definitely something that I don't think, it says here it's made in Denmark. I don't know. That's the only thing I know about it. What's the brand name? I don't know. But I think it's an oldie but a goodie, and something that I've had for years and that I love wearing, especially right now in the springtime. More of a wintry item then is a leather midi skirt, I should say. I can't really show you all the way, or can I? It goes down to mid-calf. It has a little split in the back, so that's always helpful. And it has a button as well as elastic in the waistband. This is real leather, it says here. It's on the tag that it's real leather. It did have a couple of like stains on at the front, but I was able to like wipe them off. And it's really, really fun. I was really looking for some midi length skirts when they became trending, and I bought a corduroy one and a denim one and this one, and it was great that I was able to find it vintage. Most of the leather pieces and suede pieces in my wardrobe are actually vintage. I love buying them vintage rather than new. Yeah, this is just a really good one. It has, it fits me really well. It has a great style to it. I love wearing it in the winter time though, because this thing is toasty. You get really warm legs in this. I've worn it to like birthday parties and I've worn it to work. I think I actually showed you this in my last outfit videos, and I actually wore this as part of a weekend outfits that I've shown you. I do also have other bottoms. Bottoms I don't have too many of, especially not pants or jeans, because I find them very, very difficult to find with my body shape. A lot of it is just really, really small if it's vintage. I do feel that, especially in like the 70s and the 80s, a lot of the sizing was a lot smaller than it is nowadays. But I found vintage 501s from Levi's. These aren't like special ones from like the 70s back in the day, whatever. These are just, I think, from like from the 2000s. I remember having exactly this style of like trouser when I was a teenager. So it's very like nostalgic for me. And I used to have two pairs of them, but one of them was more of like a men's fit, or it had been worn by a man, I think. And this is more of a women's fit. It comes a little bit higher. And this one is also a little bit better quality. The other one I had was really thin in the crotch. That's something to look for if you do buy vintage denim. Like feel the crotch, feel this area. You can see here as well how worn that sort of inner seam is, because if people's thighs rub together, that can be an area where trousers, of course, start to wear down the most. But these were in really good nick, and so because I had two, and this one fit me slightly better than the other pair, I decided to keep this. And these are a leg length 30, waist 34. So they're a slightly oversized fit to make them look a little bit baggier as well. And these are just your classic straight leg jean in a nice like wash. It does have the sort of washing down the legs as well. I like these. They are really good. I need to wear them more often though. Now that I've lost a little bit of weight, these will fit me again. Another really good vintage find I found last year. I went to a vintage sale near my house and I found vintage Doc Martens. And from the soles, they are a little bit dirty, but from the soles and the bottom, from what I can tell, these are from the 90s. There is a big scratch on the right one, but you can't really see it all that well. Gave them a polish, took them to the cobbler because there is this elastic here where the buckle is, and that needed replacing. So I got that replaced. I gave them a polish, and now they look like this. And I don't think this is a style of Doc Marten that you see very often. I love wearing this with red socks. Like a pop of red, and then with a pair of jeans. These are really, really lovely. I love these. But they're heavy. Like, these are heavy shoes. I just showed you that blouse. Another thing I love shopping vintage is a gilet. This is a, like, suit gilet. This is something I do look for from time to time. That it doesn't have this satiny fabric. I have a couple, especially if they're printed. I like if the print is at the front and at the back. That is a little bit more difficult to find, because very often these gilets are like supposed to be worn under things. But with this, I really didn't mind it having this fabric in the back. I think this is one I found through Vinted, and it's a dark brown Italian suede. It's really pretty, and I actually wore this with the cream blouse the other day. That's why they were top of mind. But this is one out of like 5 vintage gilets that I have. So I've got a couple, and I really like them, and they're very easy to find. I have a fringe one in a suede, and I've got 2 printed ones, one in a velvet even. So yeah, I have a couple of these, and I really like them. This is just a great like piece for every day, great for pairing, and I love this chocolatey brown color. More suede. I love myself a vintage jacket. I'm only 5 feet tall, 5'1" actually. So what's it in centimeters again? 157, 56 and a half officially, I believe. So I'm not that tall, you could say. And one of the things I struggle with a lot of modern blazers is that the sleeves are far too long, and then it looks really big and bulky on me and I sort of drown. But with a lot of vintage items, the sleeves are actually shorter on them, so I have really been able to find good blazers in the vintage selection that I have, and I think about half of my blazers are vintage. I just I just have so many. And one of the ones that I love, this isn't really a blazer, it's more like a jacket. It's a little bit more like less structured, but it is 100% real suede. It comes past my butt, and I love wearing this with a particular dress that I have from Pull and Bear, and it's this lovely camely color. It's really soft and buttery, and I remember finding this and finding a different jacket that I actually passed on to somebody else because it looked better on her, and this one just looked better on me. And because of how it drapes, it just sits really nicely around the shoulders, and it just does a really good job. So a nice suede like blazer jacket kind of thing, great to find vintage. Another vintage find, but also one of the best vintage blazers I own, is this really, really beautiful, like, let me turn it around so you can really see the colors. So it's brown and yellow and green and blue and gray. It's got so many different colors, and even a little bit of red. Like this stripe has a bit of red, so it goes with everything. It's by a brand called Almina. I don't know anything about it. It's a perfect fit. The sleeves are just the right length for me. It's a nice boxy fit. It's got beautiful buttons. I love vintage blazers for the buttons that you get with them. I've definitely bought a blazer in my time just because it had fun buttons. But yeah, I love this one. It's a real wool blazer, really great quality, and it just drapes really nicely, goes with everything. I mean, if I could keep just one vintage blazer, it would be this one. Another area that I find a little bit more difficult to find really good vintage in can be knitwear. It can just be a little bit too bobbly and worn out for it to still work, but this is another thing I picked up in my vintage kilo sale days. It's just this gray cardigan sweater type of thing with yellow, a vibrant green, and purple. I mean, how 90s can it get? But this is great for the winter time. I love pairing this with either a dark green or like just a basic gray t-shirt underneath it. This button does have a tendency to pop open, and also here at the bottom, the button doesn't really stay put, but I kind of just wear it as a sweater, or I could wear it open. I just have so many options with this, and it's still in really good condition for vintage knitwear. So with vintage knitwear, look for how many bobbles there are, how thick it feels. Some vintage knitwear that I have bought, I had to get rid of really quickly because it became really, really thin and sort of scratchy. So that's something to look for. But yeah, this I really loved. And it was really funny because it was one of the last times I went to the vintage kilo sale that I found this. And it was like up on the wall somewhere, and everybody, I had gotten there right when they opened, and everybody was like rushing inside, going into like the first couple of rails. And I was like, you know what, I had like seen it already. I had spotted it from like the side of my like vision, and I was like, you know what, I'm first gonna go check out some of the other things in the back and then move back to the front. And then this was still there, so I don't understand why no more people wanted to have this. But this is a perfect fit as well. Love that thing to pieces. And then I just have two examples here of blouses. My favorite thing to shop for vintage is a blouse. Like, I love a blouse. I'm more of a blouse person than I am a t-shirt person. I mainly use t-shirts for layering, but the minute spring, summer hits, you can find me in a short-sleeved blouse, and I love them. The one at the front is this really nice black, sort of semi-sheer lettuce hem. It's really pretty. This is something I've actually left the shoulder pads in. I will always take out the shoulder pads most of the time, but I love this. It has a really nice V-neck, some small buttons, and this drapes so beautifully. It did come with some sort of sash thing that I got rid of. I didn't like that, but I love the lettuce hem. It's great for tucking. It has a really nice flow and drape to it. And to find such a good basic, because black and white polka dot is a good basic to have, this goes with everything. And it, like, this looks like something you could still potentially buy, minus the shoulder pads, perhaps. But love that thing to pieces, and the shoulder pads is what give it the structure to make it really fit nicely. And finally, I think this is my favorite vintage blouse that I own. I have several that I love, but this is one I can't get rid of it. It's sort of like 90s art teacher gone wrong. It's very oversized. I think this is actually a men's blouse, but it's got these like almost like paint splashes on it. I love wearing this to dancing, and this is like a viscosy material. I love when vintage items have this really soft material to it because it looks beautiful on and it drapes really nicely, and it's got these really nice, fun, funky colors. I just really love this. It's like wearing a Dali painting almost, or like, you know, modern art. So I love this one. It's probably not to everyone's taste, but I love this. It's loud and proud, and that's sometimes, if I feel like doing that, then I do have something like that in my wardrobe, and I love wearing this. So yeah, that's my final vintage item. I have plenty of other things, but I was like, am I going to show them every single vintage item in my wardrobe? If that's what you want to see, then let me know, because I can still do that for you at some point. But it's going to be like a million blouses and then like one or two things in other in other sections of my wardrobe. I have like one vintage dress still. I got rid of everything else because it wasn't quite right. I do have a couple of like vintage woolen trousers as well. I've got some shorts and some skirts and things like that. So I do have something in every category of my wardrobe, really. I've got a couple of jackets and stuff. So I love shopping vintage, but it's like I really feel like my wardrobe is currently at a really good place, so I don't really need much of anything else. So that's why I'm like, you know, these are the things I just love, and I wear and re-wear, and some of these are things that I'm very, very happy I was able to find vintage, even like the Dr. Martens and the Levi's 501s. Those I know are pretty coveted, even though like the Levi's aren't like super special ones. But yeah, I love those. So thanks so much for being here. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'm really hoping I can find examples of me wearing all of these items as well, because I'm pretty sure I filmed with all of these already, or I've taken pictures of them in the past. So I'm gonna have to put that in post-production. If there isn't something here, then I'm really, really sorry. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Check back next week for a new video, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.